Good evening, dreamers. Welcome back to the realm where imagination meets the shadows of the unknown. Tonight, we embark on a harrowing journey into the depths of memory, madness, and the horrors of war. This week, our theme dives into experimental medications, stories that explore the chilling consequences of science pushed too far. Every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, we'll unveil a new tale that will leave you questioning the boundaries of human innovation and the cost of progress. Please be sure to leave a comment with your suggestions for a theme you'd like us to explore together. Hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to never miss a story. The shadows are waiting. Tonight's story, Operation VEILBREAK, follows 3 soldiers who survived a brutal ambush in the jungles of Vietnam. Injured and haunted by their fragmented memories, they become test subjects for a government experiment promising total recall. But as the lines between memory and reality blur, the soldiers descend into, well, we'll let the story speak for itself. Now, let's begin. The jungle smelled like death. It clung to the skin like a curse, the thick air heavy with rot and gunpowder. Dalton, Stansfield, and Reagan were the only ones left. The ambush came in a wave of heat and noise, blinding flashes, the snap of bullets, the wet thud of bodies hitting the ground. They stumbled out of the enemy bunker, bloodied and broken, dragging themselves through the dense underbrush until an extraction chopper saved them from the hell they'd uncovered. Back at the base hospital, doctors worked tirelessly to patch them up. Concussions, shrapnel wounds, burns, each bore their marks like badges of survival. Yet, when the brass came knocking, demanding intel about the bunker, the trio had nothing. The attack had been so fast, so violent, their memories were little more than fragmented impressions. The flash of a hidden claymore, screams from the shadows, the muzzle flash of AK-47s. It wasn't enough. That's when the psychologist arrived. Dr. Holloway had kind eyes and a soft voice that contrasted starkly with the clinical detachment in her words. She introduced the soldiers to Operation VEILBREAK, an experimental treatment designed to stimulate synaptic reconnection in the brain, granting total recall. It wasn't just about remembering. It was about reliving, accessing memories with perfect clarity. Holloway explained how the medication worked.
When we experience trauma, the brain severs connections to protect us. This pill bypasses that defense mechanism, reopening neural pathways. You won't just remember what happened in the bunker. You'll feel it, see it, hear it, every detail.
The soldiers hesitated, but they were soldiers, trained to follow orders. If this pill could help their brothers in arms avoid a similar ambush, they'd take it. The first dose was subtle. Dalton recalled the mud beneath his boots, the sharp snap of twigs breaking underfoot. Stansfield remembered the bunker's metallic smell, oil, sweat, and blood. Reagan described the flickering light bulb hanging from the ceiling as they breached the entrance. The second dose dug deeper. Colors became sharper, sounds more distinct. Dalton's memory of the ambush became vivid. He could see the enemies' faces, their wild eyes and scarred skin. Stanfield's mind replayed the exact moment he was hit, the searing pain of shrapnel tearing through his arm. Reagan swore he heard the dying screams of their comrades, their voices echoing in his head even after the session ended. By the third dose, their memories turned dark. The soldiers began to recall things that didn't make sense, faces that weren't there, whispers in the jungle that no one else heard. Dalton was convinced that he'd seen Reagan hesitate during the firefight, leaving him exposed. Reagan accused Stansfield of pushing him into the line of fire to save himself. Stansfield, silent at first, began muttering about shadows in the bunker, shapes that didn't belong. Dr. Holloway encouraged them to explore these memories.
It's normal for traumatic events to resurface in fragmented ways. You are making progress.
By the sixth day, progress felt like a descent into madness. Dalton couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he was back in the jungle, the screams of his dead comrades deafening. Stansfield became paranoid, insisting that Reagan and Dalton were plotting against him. Reagan started speaking to people who weren't there, his eyes darting to the corners of the sterile room as if something was watching. Arguments turned into fights. Fights turned into violence. On the seventh day, isolation broke them. Stansfield lashed out first, accusing Dalton of abandoning him during the ambush. Dalton, fueled by his own fragmented memories, struck back. Reagan, caught in the crossfire of paranoia and rage, picked up a scalpel from the medical tray. By the time the guards broke down the door, all three soldiers lay dead, slashed, beaten, and strangled. Dr. Holloway observed the aftermath with clinical detachment. In the debriefing room, she delivered her report to the project leaders.
The results are promising,
She said.
The drug amplifies trauma to the point of mental collapse, rendering the subject unstable and incapable of rational thought. With further refinement, it could be weaponized. A single dose in an enemy water supply could destabilize entire battalions.
And the soldiers? One of the generals asked.
Expendable.
Holloway replied coldly.
We've saved on medical pensions, Purple Heart ceremonies, and long-term care. Their sacrifice has brought us closer to a breakthrough.
As she left the room, she glanced back at the two-way mirror overlooking the morgue. Dalton, Stansfield, and Reagan lay side by side under sterile white sheets. Tools of war, used and discarded. In the silence of the observation room, Dr. Holloway whispered to herself,
For the greater good.
The jungle might have killed them once, but Operation VEILBREAK had finished the job.